Hello and welcome back to Automotive, Logistics and Supply Chain Europe Live. I'm Logan, Senior Content Producer here at Automotive Logistics and Ultima Media. Thank you so much for joining me. With the industry in such a transformative state, supply chains face rapid changes, challenges and disruption in the next few years. And innovation in the supply chain will be key to ensuring the entire industry continues to thrive as it transforms and we enter a new era of mobility. Joining me today are two supply chain leaders putting innovation at the heart of their plans. So please welcome Marko Weisshaar, Head of Supply Chain Management at OEM startup INEOS Automotive, and Olivier Benguigui, Director of Warehousing and Reusable Packaging at global logistics provider GEFCO. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
So for this exciting session, because it's the innovation session, I wanted to do things a little bit differently. So it gives me great pleasure to also introduce the Wheel of Innovation. That's right, I can hear the oohs and the ahs, even in this virtual forum. And we've got a number of categories addressing various innovation topics and areas, including audience questions. So be sure to get them in via the chat. So without further ado, spin that wheel. All right. So first up, we have human. So human innovation, a key part, perhaps often overlooked, but let's dive straight in. Can you give us an example of some recent or maybe even historical human-centric innovations you've implemented or experienced? And let's kick off with you, Marko.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rich. And actually, first of all, a pleasure to being here, of course. And secondly, I think you can pull already a slide which I prepared, a small one. Actually, this is not a PowerPoint slide. Sometimes you also need to be a little bit backwards in order to give innovations. But this is something I would say that is really going to the human-centric innovation. So probably some of you guys or most of you guys know the comfort zone model, where it basically says, well, you need to bring the people out of the comfort zone in order to bring in, I would say, growth into personal, into people, and also into organizations. And I think this has a lot to do with innovation. So when you look to the comfort zone and when you stay a long time in the comfort zone, when you always feel comfortable, I will say long time, you will even feel boring. Yeah, then you go even to a boring zone, and this leads normally to innovate for bad, because you want to be busy, you want to be still occupied, but you will always generate innovations on the wrong way, into the wrong direction. But when you push people and or organizations a little bit out of their comfort zone in the right direction, probably there is a fear zone first, where you have a little bit, I would not say even the pressure or something like this, in order to give an innovation. Yeah, and when you are successful with the innovation, and one day you will be successful, this is for sure, then you will go to the growth zone. Then you will have a good and a great innovation. You want to innovate, and you will stay at least a while in the growth zone, because it's like you get a taste on it and you want to have more. And I think this is what it coming with innovation. So you need always to bring people somehow, I will not say to a fear zone, but give a gentle push sometimes in order to have a need for innovation, which comes to something which we innovated and which are also I think brought up 1.5 years ago in automotive logistics. It's a leadership model which we implemented in the supply chain management at INEOS Automotive. This is the 5T model, where we say everything what we are doing. We have teamwork, we have trust, transparency, we have targets, but also we have the tackle part. Yeah, and I would say to implement the leadership model, this is something very important, and to live it. This is, I would say, more important. So one thing is there are some words, somewhere written, even in a PowerPoint or in a handwritten slide or something like this. This is one thing, but on the other side, it's really like, yeah, live it. You have it in your DNA, and if you're really making a mistake, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, there is always a second time where you can try, and this is leading innovation. So this is human-centric, I would say.
Yeah, fascinating. Thanks, Marko. And Olivier, over to you. Any comments on that, and also human-centric innovations yourself?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Rich, and good afternoon to all our viewers this afternoon. So, yeah, maybe a few comments. Most of the innovations we drive in the group, that's to ease the work of our co-workers. That's pretty much the goal of innovations, to make their life easier. There could be a lot of examples I could pick up, but I'm especially thinking of a recent experiment we had that's actually ongoing, but that's very interesting. More and more, we are interested in supporting our workers, our co-workers, in all the troublesome, difficult tasks they have. Actually, just to let them refocus on the core of their missions, of course, but also to ease the pain and make their daily life easier. So, for example, in one of our warehouses in the Netherlands, we're currently testing cobots, collaborative robots. And that's very important. We're talking cobots instead of robots, because that's all about collaboration. Actually, it's not about taking the main tasks over and do the job of our co-workers. That's not the goal. The goal is to support them to do all the unproductive and difficult, tough tasks. Actually, so for example, just to give you the illustration of that, a cobot could, for example, be connected to some kind of trolleys. That's an example, and then our workers could pick on the shelves the parts or any products, actually, then load them on the tray, and then the cobot is going to move to the loading station or preparation areas. And actually, it enables our workers not to walk in the warehouse all day long. That sometimes could lead to more than 10 kilometers a day for some of our workers, and make their life easier in the end, that's for sure. So that's a little bit of the spirit we have, and definitely innovation should be in the position to make the life of our co-workers easier in the end.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think I might have to invest and get myself a cobot as well to help me right here. So let's go back to the wheel and see what's coming up next. So spin that wheel. Game changer. Okay, I thought this might come up. Well, I was hoping this might come up at the end, but let's get straight to the good stuff. In terms of innovation, what do you think is coming down the line that's really going to shape and change automotive logistics and supply chains? Olivier, perhaps I'll start with you this time and give Marko a little bit of chance to think. Yeah.
That's, according to me, it pretty much relates to information and the information chain for the whole ecosystem, partners, customers, providers. We could talk big data, blockchain, IoT, a lot of innovations that could potentially change tremendously the way we work and the way we connect to our partners. And that's very important because other vehicles actually they grow even more complex. The automotive supply chain is getting more complex too. And I really think that, just to make it simple, end-to-end visibility could help automotive companies to reduce their costs, to increase transparency in between all the actors of the chain. And that's very important. I have the example for not to take directly a GEFCO example, but Toyota, for example, is very good at that in actually connecting all its partners, and also all the siloed departments of the companies in something which is a little bit more dynamic, with cloud-based data access in the whole company and with the partners as well, which is getting easier now with the API and new technologies that you could use in order to connect all the partners. So that's very important, according to me, to target more transparency, to go for more transparency using the data management. I must say that as a provider, as a logistics provider, most of the providers in the community are not very good at connecting the various systems and offering this full chain transparency and really end-to-end visibility to the customers. It requires big projects underneath, like master data management, for example, that you need to build up big database, which are actually fed by a lot of different systems in the various operations and departments, so that you can actually build a chain of information that you could make available to your partners.
Yeah, some exciting things coming along the line. And Marko, what's going to be your game changer? Is it different to Olivier's, or?
Well, a lot of similarity to Olivier, I have to say. So the big game changer for everything, including supply chain management, logistic, is, for me, it's artificial intelligence. So when AI is fully developed, I would say that's a complete game changer for supply chain management. But in order to come to this, we need to go first some steps. And of course, number one is to have all the data together, because without data, you cannot analyze. Then the second step is you need to have transparency and visibility. Yeah, that's what Olivier also said. So this is also something where we all need to work on to get also the visibility. Yeah, where is, for example, for inbound shipments. Yeah, where is my transport? Where are my goods? Where is this kind of purchase order? Where is this call off? Where is it at the moment? Yeah. And of course, the next level will be prediction. Yeah. When you have all the data, when you have where you know where all the parts are, the next thing is prediction. So it's not only where it is, because it's not interesting where the things are. It's also when will they arrive, or when they will be at the place of the customer. And I think this is where I would say, especially we at INEOS Automotive, we are working on to come to this level of prediction, to come to it and work on exception management. So everything that is working, that is automatically flowing, we do not need to think about it even. But when there is an exception, for example, I don't know, a port of export somewhere in the US, maybe when it's coming to Europe, is closed, and the AI and first, the exception management says we need to take another port of export, or we need to make air freight instead. Yeah, that's what they say. But later on, we're expecting AI to do it. So I would say, and this is a part of a seamless supply chain. Then, so I personally think AI will be the very big game changer for everything in supply chain management. And this was just an example. With inbound transport, can also be, of course, when you look to on-site logistics, when you look to packaging, to everything, that will be a big change.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to that cobot being able to even think for me as well further down the line. So let's head back to the wheel and see where we're going next. Okay, scalability. Okay, this for me is interesting. And when we spoke in the past few weeks and months about this, we talk about innovations, great and small. It often, and I don't want to merge with the other one with another category, but it often comes down to what's going to have the biggest return on investment. But is it possible in your organizations, whether you're regional or global, to innovate something on a small scale, or must it have scalability so that it can be global or as big as the company can be? Perhaps I'll kick off with you, Marko.
Okay, thank you. Well, scalability, if you ask a startup company like we are at INEOS Automotive, so at least we did not produce a serial car. Yeah, of course, test cars and prototypes, but we did not even produce a serial car to to sell at the moment. And so scalability is, of course, something for a startup not so much existent. But this is why, and maybe this is coming also up to other question, is why we want to connect to logistic service providers. Because for me, an LSP, for example, when we outsource the implant process, for example, when we outsource maybe even a control tower or something like this, this is then something where we could expect from an LSP to bring in some innovations where the LSP made elsewhere to bring in also for us to the benefit of us as a startup. So scalability, I would say, for at least for an short to be OEM, short to be live OEM towards, I would say, a well-stated LSP, I would say the scalability goes to the LSP.
Interesting. And Olivier, what's your thoughts on that? You know, when it comes to choosing to invest in a project, is scalability at the heart of that decision?
That's a very important point indeed. I think that for most of the innovations from inception, we think of potentially the possibility to extend to a larger scope and to let the whole group benefit from and the partners to benefit from the innovation. But on the other hand, we do encourage and foster local initiatives and innovation if it proves to be efficient. For example, I remind of an example in Spain, for example, where our colleagues they wanted to implement pick-to-light stations in one of our warehouses, which actually did not prove to be efficient everywhere in the group, in our core process and for automotive. But then in Spain, they managed to demonstrate that it could be useful and efficient. So we went for it. As a matter of fact, of course, to encourage this innovative initiative, but we think of the scalability. Then, if we were not from the start intending to study that furthermore, then the fact that it's now implemented live in one of our sites, we're going to see how we can replicate or use that innovation in other sites in other countries, for example. But that's very important. And anyway, you know, for all the mainstream innovation, that's every time the same. We try to think of potentials of development across the group, and it's not isolated initiative most of the time. It's more about replication potentials and benefit for the whole group.
Yeah, absolutely, and very interesting there. You brought in benefits to partners and supply chains there, and what was interesting, I think, about Marko's point as well is coming at it from a startup perspective, intimating that approach might change as your journey develops. So that's not to say that the approach is static. It's very much dynamic, but yeah, interesting to cover. So thanks for that. Let's go back to the wheel, see where we'll go next. Okay, best of 2020. So keen not to dwell too long on 2020. A very challenging year at best for many. But I'd like to get a sense, which are some of the innovations that had the biggest impact on your supply chains, your teams from the last year, perhaps something that helped you through the crisis or helped you turn something, those challenges into a positive. I'll kick off with you, Marko.
Okay. Good. Yeah, the worst of 2020 we all know. This is for sure. So coming to the best of 2020, well, we were already a lot active there, and I'm very happy that when we are designing all the processes, that we made everything based on cloud technology. So I personally think cloud technology was for us the best of 2020, because when you have something in the cloud, when you have all your data in the cloud, you can have your systems, and we decided for only cloud-based systems, like cloud-based ERP system. I don't know if I'm allowed to say SAP for HANA, but this would be something and it could be also from others, from others in ERP system, which is cloud-based. So to have something like this in place and to have it seamlessly connected over the whole supply chain, coming from the planning process to the inbound process, TMS, container management system. You have the dock and yard management. You have the warehouse management system in. You have the production planning tool in. So if everything is connected within the cloud, you can automatically pull out data and bring it back. I would say this is something where we made decisions to go to the cloud with everything that what we have. I would say this is something. This is an innovation, although cloud technology is maybe an innovation which has been longer ago. But for us, it was a great help to start with that already. So that was a good one.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And Olivier, from your perspective?
Yeah, I think that in 2020, I was talking transparency and end-to-end visibility before, and I think that we managed pretty well in 2020 to improve our web portals to have better communications to our customers and to let them access more data, of course KPIs and indicators, but a lot more data so that they could access now. And 2020 it was also the year when we started to investigate IoT for some of our usages, such as, for example, the possibility to place small devices, IoT devices, in the structure of the pallets, because we're using millions of pallets, and sometimes we're confronted with theft for those pallets. So I think track and trace functionalities could be interesting. So we could use IoT for that and small devices, but that's very limiting usage of IoT. So we are now thinking of big data and everything we can do via IoT, capturing and using at a large extent all the data we can collect.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting, and good to see that some positives were coming out from last year. I'm going to cheat a little bit because there's one category I definitely want to include. So we won't necessarily refer to the wheel. And this actually, I want to include a poll from the audience, which should be live. So the bold question is: can innovations be driven more when services are insourced or outsourced? So that poll has been live. So I hope you're contributing in the audience. And just before we close that, I'll go to our panel for their thoughts on that. So what's your preference when it comes to the source of innovations? Is insourcing better than outsourcing, or vice versa? And I'll start with you, Olivier.
Okay, so it's hard to answer the question. I would say outsourcing. What a surprise! But I think that outsourcing is interesting for their advantages and drawbacks, of course. But one of the advantages for sure is that maybe a logistics provider where you do outsource the innovation is got a larger field of application, maybe. So it means that based on a very large operation, which is made of several operations actually, the applications can be larger, and then the proof of concept or the test can be more reliable and maybe more efficient. That's a point. But also another advantage, of course, is to be able, when it comes to innovation, maybe for the provider to allocate the cost of innovation to a larger number of customers. So it's not about a single experiment sometimes, but it means that we're going to test the innovation for a larger community of customers. Then it means that cost sharing is of course larger, as a matter of fact, and it can be to the benefit of the whole community.
Yeah, absolutely, and very interesting comment there. Thank you, Marko. Your perspective on insourcing and outsourcing. we know innovation can come at a high cost, take a lot of resource. Who should bear the responsibility, and both financially and in terms of other resources as well when it comes to innovation?
Yeah, that's a very tricky point. So you know, of course, my opinion about being a startup where we need to have innovations, at least from and this from the beginning, from outsource, and but also when it's coming, I would not say there is responsibility to bring innovation from a customer or from an LSP. I would say both needs to bring innovations, yeah, and it's important that the innovations which are brought are really in. But one important point which you brought, Rich, was the return of invest. So very often the contract lifetime is maybe just the remaining 1 year, and when you look to an ROI of an innovation, it's just it's 3 years or 4 years. So how can this pay back? And then it's up to the customer again to say, okay, which kind of innovation you bring. And of course, there will be a time when the contract will be extended or when the contract will be changed to another LSP, whatever will happen, so that the customer will take care that the ROE really pays out for everyone. Yeah, and this is also something where I personally think we also need to encourage an LSP to bring innovations. Yeah, this is also something very important. So. Because we are also at the moment looking for who could be the best fit LSP for our operations. We are here in some, I would not say final stages, but at one time we have to decide for sure. And one very important part is which LSP has innovation centers, who is really focusing to bring on innovations, because only an LSP bringing innovations can be competitive later on. Yeah, he's more efficient, can be more competitive, and at a long term, it's the best quality and cost for us as a customer. So an LSP has to be innovative, has to be competitive because of this. Otherwise, the competition is, I would say, far ahead from the LSP, and this is why we need it. And it's also about incentives. Yeah. Of course, when you say with an LSP, well, you have to bring innovation. Then he says, okay, just for example, it's X% on profit, which you as a customer want to give the LSP. And then if he reduces the cost and increases the efficiency, of course, the profit will decrease. Yeah. So it's thinking about how can we incentive innovations. And this is, for example, not to give a percentage in profit, to give a fixed rate in profit. That could be also something. So there are many thoughts in thinking about innovations from an LSP or from us, but at the end it's about taking care that the innovations come. And even if a customer brings in innovation or has some innovations in his mind, that it will be transferred to reality with an LSP or without.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really interesting point about the contracts as well, in terms of how do you incentivize, what model do you go towards. I'll show the results of the poll that we launched. We asked the audience, can innovations be driven more when services are insourced or outsourced? And quite clearly from the audience believes 77% believe outsourcing, and only 22% believe insourcing. So there we go. I think that's what you both said. So gentlemen, so you win a prize, and we'll get to that very, very shortly. We are running quite close to time, but perhaps there were a couple of other categories that I wanted to kind of get to. Process is a big part of supply chain. There'll be people who are solely focused on the process out there in our audience. Have we got? We've just got a minute or two to talk about examples and the importance of process and innovation in process. Perhaps Olivier, I can go to you. Yeah,
sure. I can take. I think I've got a slide about that. I can mention this concept of warehouse 4.0, for example. That's a reflection area of reflection we're having today in GEFCO, as we're actually thinking of all the innovations ahead of our operations, of everything we can do in order to enhance our process and our operations. And there are a lot of experiments and innovations we're testing or we're implementing in our warehouses. That goes from geofencing of the trucks, which seems to be quite simple, but very important in order to locate the trucks and manage the workload. I was mentioning about the cobots. We're expecting a lot from that kind of innovation to support our co-workers. Automated racks and dynamic dock management in our warehouse. The spirit is really to make the process more productive and to erase unproductive items and things like that. So.
Yeah, fantastic. And maybe I'll go to you, Marko, and just because we're running pretty tight on time, we've unpacked a lot. I've certainly had some fun in terms of jumping around between the categories, but what would be sort of your key takeaway from this session for our audience regarding innovation and supply chain specifically?
There's a lot, and key takeaway, maybe in a quick sentence, it's for me, it's innovations. No matter where we are, especially in supply chain, this is our. If we bring innovation, this is our insurance policy for the future. So we need to do everything possible in order to drive innovation and to implement them. Implement them and fail with it, no problem, but at least try it and then bring the next innovation in. And this is, as I said, insurance for the future. Without it, you will definitely be behind later on. So you need to bring it, you need to force it. This is my key message.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great note to finish on. Anything to add from you, Olivier, in this final 30 seconds?
No, I think that also last words. I think that seeing innovation has only investments and only a way to enhance the process is a little bit limiting, maybe. And I really think that it's about anticipating the future and being able to differentiate and prepare the ground for future developments.
Yeah, great. And another good point to end on. Thank you. And I mentioned that you guessed correctly, or I say guessed is the wrong word, but you got it right in terms of answering the audience polls. So, being part of a game, we've got some prizes here. One of them may not last the week, so you might have to split one between you. No points for guessing which one there. But just want to say thank you very much, Marko. Thank you very much, Olivier, for entertaining me and sharing some fantastic insights and with our audience. So. That's it for now, ladies and gents. The content does continue, so don't go too far. Coming up in a short while, we have two options for you. Kicking off at 2:30 European time, we have a dedicated finished vehicle logistics session with technology leaders, ICL Systems and Fract, sharing their insights on the latest digital tools. At the same time, we have the first of our virtual think tanks, Pack to the Future, unlocking the future of automotive packaging with some of the industry innovators and leaders in terms of packaging. Go grab yourself a drink. Continue to connect with everyone on the platform. Do check out the e-booths and our sponsors, and we'll see you back shortly.